Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hope everyone had a good weekend. And we had a lot going on this weekend. A lot has happened that we need to talk about and look at the markets, and then, of course, go into your questions and review, your stocks. So, yeah, so anyway, a lot of news events have happened. I'm looking forward to getting into it. But first, just kind of a quick introduction for anyone new who's joining, who doesn't know anything about this channel and who I am. Let me go into that. As you know, I'm a market forecast and analyzer for, stocks, crypto, bonds, commodities, and basically use Elliott wave analysis with the combination of RSI, other technical indicators at times, chart patterns, and other sentiment, information that I have subscriptions to formulate on my market analysis. So my website is the best place to find information. So let me show you that. Let's go to my website here. As you can see, so my website's available at ElliottWaveSage.com. So if you really want to learn more about this system, how to join my community, questions about Elliott Waves in general under education, success stories we've had. I've been around since 2021. And of course, other information about myself, my account, who you're talking to, right? Who's behind the, camera, microphone, which, yes. So someone's like, is that image doesn't work? And I've been, guys, that's me. That's what I look like. And you'll see that eventually when I get my setup done. It's like, you don't want to see the background I have now. So we'll get that fixed, but that's me. So that's who I am. So you're going to have to deal with that image. If that bothers you, then go somewhere else and follow someone else. But the frog isn't going to go away. The frog was just always kind of, it's like something that I used to kind of get attention to the channel. And it was more like when I was more of a hobby. But now this is getting more, serious. As I'm growing and I'm getting more, impressions, more people joining. So this is not a hobby anymore, right? And so this is serious, right? When we're talking about people's money, and now where I started and where we're going, we have to take it. I have to take it up a notch. Okay, so look for some changes like that, structural changes in my channel. It isn't like this isn't like a different person. It's not a fake picture. That's who I am. So you'll get to see me, more and more on camera as 2026 goes on, which is good because you should know who you're talking to and be able to see them, right? And so this is kind of an evolution of my channel to something more professional and more, I guess not a hobby. Okay. So anyway, you can look at this on your own time and you can click through it all. And obviously have a lot of good, people are happy about our service. And just as you know, we called the Bitcoin peak. We called the software peak. And I should update this for we call the cybersecurity peak. And we obviously called the silver pump and prepared us. We called the wave 5 on the pullback, but we know we have a good idea where silver's going. And basically we have a good idea of the metals in general because all our members were positioned in the metals in the summer before you heard it on TV. In fact, it was right around, I believe, going back in time, 2024, October, maybe it was a little sooner than that. Maybe it was October 24, around that time. A good friend of mine said, because they know, he knows I do this channel, right? I mean, people do know me that follow me because, they're into stocks. Not everyone's into stocks. He's like, what should I buy? What should I buy? And I hate telling people what to buy, right? But I guess I broke down that one day and I said buy silver, right? Silver back then. So silver was the trade, and I'm sure, that individual is pretty happy. The other one was you I mentioned, and someone that I know made a lot of money on that. So we do pretty well, right? But we don't get them all right because no system is 100% perfect. No one's perfect. So understand that. No one's perfect. But the ones we get right, boy, they tend to really do well and outperform. And believe me, my channel started in 21 and we called pretty much every major swing in the market correctly. All right. and we trade it pretty well between the 30-yard lines of, each market cycle, right? In some cases, we did get the exact top, like 2021, we got the exact top, right? And and then we were right off the bottom on 22 and called that tech and crypto again. Again, another story. Told my friend get in Bitcoin. Of course, no one wanted to buy Bitcoin at 17,000, 18,000, but they didn't care. But now everyone wants to buy Bitcoin. But actually, not as many this today. So a lot of fear on the internet today around Bitcoin for some reason, but that's okay. That's how these cycles go. And yeah, so we've had good success. And then April 25, we were in. We got everyone prepared for that sell-off, and there's records, of course, in my channel for that, because that's when I really got focused, started my membership service in February 2025, and so you can go back in the videos and see those. They're all, I say, time stamped, and you can watch them, and you can go back and watch my channel, the evolution, because they're all there. That's the great thing about YouTube; it saves every video, every single video, it's in there, good or bad, and so. You can go back and look, and so just understand that. So now we have this new market cycle that's about to end, and we're about to go correct, and that's going to get a lot of people, I think, caught off guard, but maybe not you, because you've decided to call in tonight, okay, or this afternoon, or morning, depending on where you are in the world. All right, so enough of that. Let's go into my channel, and go into the markets. All right, the futures are red. Okay, there's fear because what Trump imposed more tariffs, but actually, again, we don't trade the news on our channel. We don't go, oh my gosh, there's tariffs now. What does that mean? And what's the chain reaction of events that I need to predict so I can trade the right stock? We don't do that because the move has already happened, and so that's not the way to trade, right? The market searches for news to justify the price action that it's already happened, and you can say it's because maybe smart money is already positioned for the news and already knew that this the court position was going to get struck down, and the likelihood was super high on the prediction markets, and so the market's already positioned for that. But it doesn't matter. But traders read that headline and maybe they get scared and they start selling things. But I guess I wouldn't, because that tariff rate is now fixed, because there's no more erratic tariffs, right? Remember, he would post, oh, it's 50%, no, it's 30%, it's 20%. Well, we don't have to worry about that anymore. We don't have to worry about 10, 20, 30%. We know what it is now. And it expires because under the legislation that he's using to enable these tariffs, they expire now. So actually, it's probably bullish for the market in general, and it's still a negotiation position for him to be able to leverage more from concessions, and it's actually a lower rate than many of the countries were already paying. So net is bullish. Now, the other thing going on is Iran. Now, Iran can cause a market sell-off because that can go awry, and we never know how things can get going once people start shooting at each other, because they get to shoot back at you. And there's rumor, there's this fear going around the internet today about, oh, sleeper cells are all over and it's gonna be the end of the world. Just remember, guys, how many people have weapons in the United States? I mean, maybe sleeper cells can get active and they may be effective, like for the first surprise attack, but then after that, I think you would have the country united against finding people that are in these groups, and I don't think there's a lot of places to hide. I don't think it's a good way to unite the country, I would say. It's actually would do Iran a big disadvantage, because it would actually unite the United States around the cause to go back and hit them even harder. And hell, maybe Trump would even use weapons of mass destruction. I mean, it would be the dumbest thing that they could do. And it would not be actually that effective, other than, yes, it would definitely scare people and it would definitely kill people, but I don't think it would further their cause and keep their regime in power. So and again, we don't trade on the news, and there's fear, all this emotion and fear. And my God, so if you're out there and you read a headline and you get all afraid and you want to go sell or buy a stock on a headline, I almost guarantee you 100% that's the wrong move. Those headlines are there, if anything, to manipulate you as a trader, not to prepare you. Urgent news and headlines. That's what they're. I mean, that's what I've seen over the years of doing this for decades and decades. Okay, so you have to trade the chart with unemotion, filter out the news, and just focus on what's in front of you. And this is the information we see. And we trade it like in that manner. So we have to filter the news out. So sometimes it's better not to watch the news, not watch CNBC, not watch, X all the time, because it could pollute your mind and pollute your psychology, and you'll do the wrong things even subconsciously because your mind's been poisoned with information that may in propaganda that I believe is out there that is used to manipulate you as an investor and trader. Let's just face it. So we don't worry about that, but there is that out there. But Iran can go wrong, and again, not with super, but I believe it can go wrong with some kind of escalation where oil prices go higher. So that's probably the real black swan, is what happens to crude oil, and it did hit our box. And just like magic, it wicked in. I don't know if anyone trades futures, but if you did, you're already in the profit there. And that is something we got to pay attention to, because we could have this chart is saying crude oil should be breaking out higher. Okay, going 70, 75, maybe higher in the next 45 days. Why would crude oil do that? Maybe there's going to be a war in Iran. And why would that happen? Well, maybe things will flare up, in distribution of, oil will be disrupted, and or just get people afraid. So this is the trigger for more, I think, the real black swan. Because if the Straits of Hormuz are starting to get bombed and it's all bogged down, and perhaps you throw in there an image of, a lucky strike on a U.S. asset, the crude oil won't be up at 70. It'll probably be up at $100 or more. And it'll probably happen within 24 hours. So that's what I think will happen. And that will be your black swan in the market, guys. Okay? Because the crude oil is the king commodity. Whether you believe it or not, it is. Its prices in almost everything you touch and feel and purchase, directly, obviously through gasoline, but indirectly through everything you buy, because it has to ship, plastics that get made with oil, rubber, all that. So crude oil is the king commodity. It's been suppressed for quite a while, and it may be coming back to life. So that's what this chart is telling us. Okay. So could there still be a little bit of a pullback, a taco moment from Trump here? Yeah, maybe. I thought we had 10 days of peace, and that's why I said, are we going to bomb this weekend? I don't know. Who cares when we're going to bomb? But I think it's likely, if you look at this chart, at some point we will break out, right? And maybe break it out now, but then oil will go higher. And then when oil goes higher, that will pressure the world markets, and that will cause, I think, the big sell-off that people are expecting, okay? I think that the big one, the real big one, the one that, it's going to be hard to kind of put the genie back in the bottle. Because once you get a conflict going, I mean, look at, Afghanistan, Iran, Vietnam, you name it. Once you commit to that path, it's hard to get off the path. So it can only escalate typically, unless both sides can simmer down. But if we jump into it and it already gets out of hand very quickly, well, it's hard to simmer that down. It's going to be probably point of no return. So that's probably the black swan that I'm seeing right now. The secondary one is NVIDIA's earnings. NVIDIA's earnings has the ability to do that as well. We've already seen companies sell off on the earnings. If there's any whiff of problems, companies have been selling off, like Google, Walmart, all these companies. So bad earnings report or any misstep by NVIDIA could also be the pin that pops the AI bubble. And when that happens, that would obviously pressure the market too as well. Okay, so you got two market moving events, I think, at this point. And there's some other big earnings this week as well that we'll watch. But then after that, it's just kind of noise in the system that we'll have to deal with. All right, so like I said, futures are weak. Bitcoin is kind of jammed up and trying to figure out, does it want to do another dip, right, and then rip? Okay, so is it gonna kind of break this structure and just dip and then rip? Or is it gonna just kind of bounce a little bit? Maybe we get up to this 77,000 area, somewhere around there, and then come back down. Okay, we still think it has another leg lower. It doesn't look like a complete correction off of this leg. I mean, you can look 1, 2, 3, and again, we actually had the buy here. Believe it or not, we did, to the penny. Someone thought I was an insider whale that knew that because there were a few other whales that were able to flip that level. But no, we just used the same system. But maybe there's a whale out there that can, but we just knew. So we got it to the penny, and of course it bounced around, and then we had a short, boom. So now, where are we now? So bear flag breakdown. The problem is when you look at this wave down, we don't have the subdivision. You're missing that. That's what this is. Okay, you see that this is that. That's it. So this has to finish. And then look, you have another leg. And then we have another leg. The problem is, how's it gonna look? If you look at this wave, you see how it kind of came up, came down, and it came back up. Right? Kind of came up, but we haven't really come down. We kind of stayed in a sideways consolidation. I mean, could this be like an A, B, C triangle, where this is an A, B, C, D, E? Yeah, maybe. So I have it labeled more aggressively, but I could label this as maybe an A, and then a B wave triangle, and then C. And then we come up. And you see how it's kind of a three-wave bounce, and it really mirrors kind of this structure within this wave. So it's a real elegant way, and that's why we call it, right? That's why we call it this this move. And so that's kind of what we're seeing in Bitcoin. And that's why the primary view right now is this path. And of course, if you were listening to me last week, and I believe I gave this to I gave this to my members. This was, my members video. We got the buy right there. Believe it or not, look, we bought Bitcoin again, right? We got it right to the dollar. We were off by $2. $2, guys, $2. Oh my gosh, it's like magic. How did you do that? It's our system, guys. And so now we have a zero risk position. So what do we don't really care what it does here. Who cares? Oh, it goes up, goes down. I don't care. Look at that. So if Bitcoin comes back down, okay, I'm out. Guess what? We know where it's going. It's going to go down and we'll buy it later. If it goes higher, hey, that's good for us. Zero risk. Anyone who followed me and subscribed for $5 a month got that trade idea, a trade alert. Okay, you got that. Now, we don't get a lot of these a lot of times. It's rare. Sometimes, like, we got one here, but that, look, see, it went down and then it came back up right in your stop and then it fell further. But Steve, even if you're shorted that, you still got a little bit. So again, if your strategy is kind of short term, you can benefit. But you also, if your strategy is long term, right? You're long term, and you can benefit. So that's what's going on with Bitcoin. Okay, so we think it has another dip somewhere and then a rip. And a big one, okay? But what I think is really interesting is the sentiment in Bitcoin is so bad right now. It's so bearish. It's so terrible. I mean, do we even have enough firepower to even make it drop? So I was looking at that earlier. We went over that with our weekend update. And while we did have, you saw you have 3 and it lasted, looks like about a month or so. I mean, technically, this could be 1, 3. Could that be it? Now, it's very small, right? It's a very small bounce when you look at this in comparison. Once in a while, we'll see a wave do that in a kind of a crash, a wipeout. So, is it impossible? Could I put the Y finished here? And again, we only missed the target that I had by maybe, it looks like $8,000 anyway. So there's maybe a 10% chance, I'll give it 10% that the low is in on the major cycle. Okay, 10%. So that's why we also were like thinking probably could be a good idea to buy it, because if just in case. But whenever this is finished, this structure is finished, and again, this is the most likely path, a big rally's coming, a big one. And it makes you think too, well, if a big rally's going to come, then what would the markets do? Crash? No, that's pretty dumb to think, right? Why would the markets crash if Bitcoin is going to rally and either, I guess, go to new highs or make a bigger connector before it goes lower? Because remember, you have 3 waves, you'll need another 3-wave bounce. Maybe we get to 112 again. Do you really think the markets can crash up to it probably won't. It will delay the crash, right? It's going to delay it. So this is important for time in the market as well and making it make sense. So here we have this little pump and then a drop. And maybe this drop, it goes deeper than we think. Look, it could go down to 28,000, right? So this is probably that market pullback against the April cycle. It has to be, because If it isn't, there's not enough room to the downside. And then if you hit this box here and it rallies, then the market isn't going to fall that much. I don't think it has the ability to fall down to these levels, and it's just going to fall a little bit. And then it's probably going to rally back up again. Okay, so it's just something you guys, we got to think about. That's why these forecasts are dynamic. They're not static. You have to watch. Every day is different data, and we look at it. But right now, this is kind of the path at this moment in time, something like this. If we start to break down further, well, then, it could be a bigger whipsaw back around, like we kind of saw here, come down and back up. Or, of course, it was just finished here, and then it's just, we go right to our target. And then the market's probably following it with it. That means the market's going to just kind of turn over, right? So gotta keep an eye on all these instruments, and I do that. So market's red. We expected the Dow Jones to be red going into our weekend update because we're in this B wave connector. As you can see here, we're pulling back in B. So we're red. Oh, is that? No, I'm not surprised. Look, that's what we gave our weekend update. Down because we have 5 waves up, so we have to correct that. I don't know. It could come all the way back down here for all I know. I mean, it's just, but it should go lower as we're seeing as we correct this wave. Now, more than most likely, maybe we can get back down to here. So that would be about, I don't know, 250 points down, 300 at the most. So that's the kind of day you may see in the morning. Okay, so just expect that in the Dow. I'm just talking about the Dow. So let's go to your guys' questions. And if I didn't answer something you're interested in, well, you can always ask. $5 a super chat. And yeah, thanks again. Yeah, a lot of people didn't know what I looked like. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people thought I was probably some old fat dude sitting back here, or maybe a young kid. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not. I'm neither of those. So that's who I am. So you can study that image and think about it, I guess. All right, let's go to the first set of symbols here. All right, let's look here. UA. Yeah, I'm on my short-term chart. So Under Armour. We analyzed this. We actually called this rally on a live stream. It looks like we nailed it. So this is great. This is good for us because, as you can see, we called this relief rally in X, and look, it's doing it. So we nailed that for you on a live stream. Problem is, it's only temporary. Unfortunately, you have more downside. Now, when is this going to end? We can look at the structure of the wave of X and take a look. And you see how we really pulled back right around here. So somewhere we're either making a huge wave 5 here, or it's already finishing up down here in an A, B, C. Let's look at the higher time frames. Look at the hidden bearish divergence. RSI is so pumped, and look where you were before. So that's going to generate, it's trapping all the buyers and getting rid of all the shorts for this next move down. So, I mean, I think it could end at any moment, but I mean, let me look at one more wave. So we're correcting the whole thing. So it should be more complex than this connector. We don't have anything to really go by. So I'm gonna actually give you a more conventional view of this, not the bearish view, just kind of a more typical view. A, B, C. So maybe something like that. Okay, but it would lower. Let's see this T-Rex Corporation. T-Rex Corporation looks like it's coming out of a big decline since 2007. So right away you kind of look at it as looks like 3 waves up. Here's your peak RSI, and then kind of slowly drifts it lower. 1, 2, 3, and then like a connector, 1, 2, 3. I'm still going to just label it in 3 waves because you really don't see 5 waves in this instrument. And then you kind of crash back down. Right. and now you're trying to reset that cycle higher. It looks like you made this wave here. Looking at it, it looks like some kind of WX here, and now you're in Y. So I mean, Y, as you can see, the divergence, you're going to erase all that divergence, so it should continue higher, and it's already breaking out. So I think the best way to label this is probably some kind of ABC here. And we go higher. So I'll be looking for something like this. And then, of course, Y needs its own ABC, but you've only moved in 3 waves. So it's either an ABC or another WXY. So we're moving in another WXY. So here you have another WXY. So likely pull them back again. And then another leg higher. So it looks incomplete. I'm sure you'll find resistance at the all-time high, and I would imagine, right? So that's what we're thinking. Now, what could also happen is when this is finished, it pulls back again and does that. So I think you should expect that, because then you form the cup and handle, right? Which is typically what you see after a 20-year period. It never breaks out. When a stock consolidates like this and then comes out of the basin phase, it always gets rejected, even if it breaks out. So I would expect that. All right, Vail was another winner for our live stream group, but it's now it's ready for a correction. Okay, we can get rid of that. Yeah, you see those boxes? We had all those boxes for members and live stream participants who bothered to listen. And you see that, I mean, that peak, I labeled that as 1, 2, but you see how we corrected that. So we're gonna probably change that just a little bit and just move that to make it an extended 3, like I have here. I think that'd be the right way to label it. Again, looking at the data, some of these charts don't get updated like right away until I have a need to update it. So probably something like that. But it looks like it's finishing the whole correction. Now, like the miners, it's in a downtrend. So it's in like a little correction. The daily cycle and the weekly cycle is bullish. So this is buy the dip. This is a buy the dip stock. So I'll give you guys a level and a box in case it just decides to sell off in the coming days. $14.49, $13.96. Let me find my. So here's a box. If it does a double correction down, you can buy that there, and you should get a bounce in 3 waves or a wave 3. We expect more upside on the grand super cycle on this instrument. So that's that. MU is one we're tracking for our members, and we have a box already on that. 344.43, 286, 285, somewhere around there. And on the grand super cycle, this is very bullish. Okay, there's a lot of 4s and 5s to come. I don't have time to show it all, but you get the idea. So there's 4s and 5s that need to happen here, and once they do, then it could have a super crash. Okay, but it's so we want to be aggressive buyers of this, now that it's clearly in a bullish advance. But the problem is it's got this extended 5th wave. So we either going to get a 4 and a 5, right? And then what happens after 5? A big pullback, right? That's what typically happens. Let me find my symbol here, right? A big pullback to correct the whole thing all the way back. So that we're talking months and months of a bear market. Once we make another high, and then we come out again. But the thing about this is sometimes we can form another 1, 2, and we can go deeper, and it might not be a 4. So we could do a 1, 2, 1, 2 and go deeper. So this is the idea for continuation in 4. And we can even still be a 1-2 here and just moon. There's that possibility. So a lot of Elliott wave forecasters make a huge mistake by looking at the label and trading the count, only the count, because they'll see this fifth wave. Maybe they'll put the 4 there, and then they'll go max short because it's 5. And then what happens is this becomes another 1-2, and it extends further, and they get blown up, shorting at the worst possible moment of like, look, it's parabolic. So we never trade the count on our channel that way. So we'd rather buy the dip than try to guess a top. So there's the dip. This is the area. Now, what if it doesn't happen? Well, then the 4 is done. And it's just going to go into 5 or the extension like I talked about. All right, GNRC was another one we seem to have got right on our live stream. And again, we can't fall in love with it. It looks like it's trying to finish out a C leg here. Let's look at this structure. 1, 2, 3, and then A, B, C. So it's a little different count. Let me fix that. Let me just look at the first wave. Actually, that is an A there. Yeah, I think we'll leave it like that. It's just kind of an odd count here. Let me just look at how we bottomed. Yeah, I don't like that, because that would be bottomed in 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that may be an important. Again, maybe we could just call it 3 waves, but it's close enough. Because it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. There's no other count that really would work. Right. Let me just take another look at it, because then I could put that there, and then we could put that there, and then it makes more sense. Okay, so it's probably coming close to the end of its journey. Let's look at the level. See, we're almost there. It almost tagged it. It almost tagged it. It actually, looking at it, is in a box. But it almost tagged this 2, 3, 6. So it's in a very dangerous area for reversal. Does it have earnings coming up? Already had earnings, and it looks like maybe it survived it. I don't know. So that's kind of what we're looking for. That's kind of what we're looking for. Okay, why do we think it's going to go down? Because of what happened right here. We broke the low. We broke the low. So we broke the low, so that implies it's likely to fail, whatever this rally is. Now, the only problem with these kinds of rallies is it can continue to extend and squeeze. So even though I show a box, I don't recommend a short trade on it. Okay, so I got to be careful sometimes, but the box is there to just like alert you that it could reverse. Then we'll get this final like lower if a company can still survive after that. All right, GF, because it's a grand super cycle correction. So this was an old one, old box, old color back in 22. I actually gave this box and we missed it by $1. We missed the low by $1. It happens. But it had it went in for a bull market, and then it double corrected on you. So that kind of sucks. But that markets can always double correct. In fact, they can go to 0. Stocks can go to 0. I don't know if you realize that, but stocks can go to 0. And look at that, like magic, it hit our level. So that's probably the next low. So if you would have asked me about this a year ago, I would have said buy it here, right? I would have said buy it right there, and that's where it bounced. So again, it's kind of like magic, right? Sometimes the way this works. And now it just comes out, right? Now it should just come out. And that's what we're looking for. But probably, again, looking at this, let's change that up, because it's only 3 waves down. So it's moving corrective. So something like that. So it's moving in 3 waves. So that always makes it a little tougher, but you have a 5-wave move here. And you have a 3-wave, looks like a 5-wave move there. So it looks like you're finishing the first W wave. And we should be seeing a pullback soon. But I would expect more upside. So this is the best chance it has of coming back up here. But it looks like you could have a correction as is all see the divergence playing out on the daily cycle. The daily cycle is about to break down. So you're about to go into a correction at any moment. FBIOX is some kind of biotechnology fund, and healthcare is tricky. The XLV shows signs that it could be in a flat. It's not all clear yet. XLV could hit 115 and pull back pretty significantly in a rapid manner, catching investors by surprise, unless we see it overtake its all-time highs again. But so you got to be careful in the biotechs right now. We know Eli Lilly's extended, J&J's extended, Merck's extended. They all have had a great run, but they're susceptible to a pullback, a correction. We've already started seeing that in Thermo Fisher. We saw it in the other stock. What was it? Danaher. So just be careful if you're in this. But on the grand super cycle, it should be okay. Well, that's good to know. So let's see. But on the if you're short term, you need to be watching that. So probably something like this, right, is what I'm thinking. Now the problem is we don't have a good RSI view now here because we don't get the shorter time frames on this. You see that there's divergence. So this is definitely this is an impulse here. That's good to know. And I don't know what happened with that wick right there. It's hard to see it, but you can see there's a little wick there. So I would probably label this, and then you see how there's only 3 here, and then it looks like some kind of 3-way move down. So kind of big 3 waves. Yeah, I wish we could have the smaller time frame. Okay, maybe we can use the weekly. That's good. All right, so we do see an impulse on that leg, not on that one. So it's still only showing like 3 waves to me. And that erased divergence with more here and no divergence. And we have enough here. So I think I could label this as an end in diagonal, maybe. Let me see. No, I can't do that. So it's 3. So this must be some huge connector. There's no other explanation. And that's typical of a 4th wave on a grand supercycle or a major top. So 1, 2, 3. So I think we're going to label it this way: 1, 2, 3, and we're either still in 4, right? We're either still in 4. I'm reluctant to put 4 done. Because of how this pulled back, because it doesn't have a 5 waves count. Okay, and then neither does this wave, neither does that wave. So the only thing you're really left with is this. I'm thinking you come up, you correct the whole thing here, right? And then we have some kind of A wave. We're in some kind of B, and we get C. It's the only thing I can think of right now. I mean, I wish I could do this. If I did this, I wouldn't be doing it right. If I did it like this, if I did it like that, I would be overlooking the fact, to me, that I don't see 5 waves. I only see 3 waves down. Okay, so the only thing I could think of is you're in some kind of B wave still, and you're gonna do some kind of expanded flat B wave. There's no other count that's gonna work for me. A, B, C, and then you crash back down later. Okay, maybe that's a clue on how the XLV is gonna trade. We may need to use this instrument as a clue to help us understand that pattern a little better. And then you have some kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe, and all we need to do is finish an impulse here. And in fact, let's go to the week. See, we're already there. So that's what I'm saying. So this is actually looking like it. I could try to label that finished if I wanted to, and then label this as a running flat and put that B done, and then we get C, and then you get that 115 on the XLV. I think this is the chart I'm going to go with. I think I'm going with this chart. Okay, so I think this is what we'll go with, and you'll just have to decide what you want to do with that information. Okay, UMAC. Let's take a look at UMAC. UMAC is missing a wave higher in its structure. To get there, we could have found that bottom right here. And we're in a 1 2 1 2. Now this could be a 3 4 5. It could also be another 1 2 1 2. War. I would assume war with Iran or war chatter makes people buy this sector. That's what I would assume. And his chart is seeing that. It says it goes higher. Now I'm assuming it would be war related talk to allow investors to FOMO in on it. We've done okay in this stock, by the way. Our history, we had buys here and here. Now here we had a little pump, and it kept failing because we're just kind of like fighting this connector. But now we're finally, it's trying to come out. We do have a higher high here, so it's likely to come out and break 2371. Okay, I would just try to be, patient with it if you can, and play the long game. If you're hoping for instant gratification and a quick pump, then you're probably going to be disappointed. But if you play the long game, you'll probably be okay on it. Again, I'm just trying to draw some kind of arc here. So you could just kind of follow that. So we may not get up to here till the summer. Again, so I'm just kind of trying to show you and temper your expectations on how long it could take. Even though I show my lines like this, I just have to put them somewhere on the sheet. It doesn't mean, I just have to throw them on there, right? This can play out a little, but we expect it to go higher. So that's UMAC, and I think you had a question was, it makes 5 waves up. Where would the pullback? So if it's 5 waves up, the pullback will likely come back to 1288 and somewhere in this area. Okay, GUR, we forecasted this breakdown, and we're seeing it happen in front of our own eyes, and likely finishing its first 3-wave series. Let's take a look at what we got here. Yep, and see how we corrected the 45-minute cycle there. So this is pretty straightforward chart. So we'll probably have a W, some kind of X, and then the wipeout wave. So I'm not sure what happened to this company fundamentally, but whatever happened, they need to go do the opposite of it, because it just kind of collapsed. I'm not sure. Again, I don't follow the news on some of these companies. And this, the only thing I look at this, it would be nice to have had this X correct the 4-hour, and it hasn't. It's only corrected this leg. So because of that, I can't be 100% certain we're X. We could be in an impulse. So there's a possible path here. Well, no, because of the way we bottomed here. So not an impulse. So maybe we could be in this kind of structure. And then we turn into 5. Right, and again, it just falls real quick. And then it rallies like this and does that. So that's possible. So I think it's 50-50 between this pattern and the one I had just shown. The 4-hour does not show this is done yet. So this means it would double back up. So we'd do something like this. Then if we do that, then it's X. So it's one or the other. We don't have enough data, but ultimately lower. BLNE, again, it's another one that looks so far doing okay, but it needs to hold that wick at 253. And Probably 5 wave. I wouldn't call that 5 waves up. So maybe 3, 3, 3. Maybe we're in B wave here. So see that peak? I wonder if we're in a corrective move. Let's look. We did break this in line now. You know, I don't have to draw it. I can see it's breaking down the 45-minute cycle lower. You see it wanted to bounce and correct the 4-hour cycle, but it's getting rejected. Oh, it's tough. It's a tough one. I think maybe you could be starting and ending diagonal here, and it's just correcting the first wave. I'm going to assume that's what it is going to do. Some kind of ending diagonal. But you have to watch it. All right. And I'm pretty sure but I still would expect it to go higher on the 4-hour cycle. All right. Then Neo, we are still waiting. Look. So the count is still valid. The peaks are lower highs, validating that structure. Instead, it's right on the edge. Now, if this can come out, if that can come out, then we're back in X. This X. Okay, so let me show you what that would look like. Let me go back and look what I had here. Okay, so what that would look like is something like this. 3, 3, 3, right? And then A, B, C. Yeah, A, B, C, 1, 2, squeeze, short squeeze. You know, maybe it can even get back up to $7. Maybe as oil rises, and then it double corrects later. When you look at the 4-hour, it looks like it's going to do it. I'm sorry, the daily. It looks like it's going to do it. And with oil's going higher, these kind of stocks go higher. So maybe our view is going to have to shift a little bit on this to do something like that now. Because our forecast is oil higher. Okay. Like that. I would go with that. I'll go with this for now. But I don't think that's the low. Cipher. Follow Zcash, GCZ. Okay. So Cipher is in the correction, and it's now the rule of thumb that, and again, if I had to write my own book of Elliott Wave Theory, part 2.0, I would say the markets today, for whatever reason, love to correct overlapping waves like we see here and here, falling between the 4 and the 2, just where I have that black line. I don't know. I see this like a lot. I mean, I don't have it measured, but maybe 80%, 90% of the time. So maybe that's how the computers are programmed to go look for this. But that's so there. So what would that mean? That's a 50% haircut. So where is Zcash trading? And let's cut it in half and see where that takes us. So it's trading at 243. Our target is at 116. So that's how you get there. So that's the target. Substantial bounce. Yeah, hell yeah. So if Zcash can get to this target, it will correct the whole cycle. Okay. Now let's look at the grand super cycle before we get all excited. We're nowhere near the all-time high. So the problem you have with Zcash is it could be just a big corrective bounce. So yes, will it rally? Yeah, it should rally. And it should be a big rally. But is it going to bring you over these highs? I can't promise you that. It could become a Litecoin of the next Bitcoin cycle for all we know. So we don't know. All we know is it will rally from this box. 118. Now, what is it doing now? It's tricky because it's double correcting, right? It came down in 3 and then it made a shallow connector and it's like running stops, right? It's running stops. It almost looks like where did it do that before? There was a place where it did kind of the same thing before. If I can find it, I'll have to look for it later. But basically, that's what we're seeing. So it's still in a box off of this connector here. And again, so I don't know, maybe we'll get Y, right? But it could go a little lower. Now, what if this happens? Okay, well, if something like this happens, our target's going to have to change. and it may change lower actually. But if this doesn't happen, then right, then we are Y is done, and then you have W, X, and now you're in your next leg lower, and then you're going to head to your box. Okay, is that what's happening tonight with Zcash? I don't know. Let's look. I just see a double correction right now. I don't see it starting the next major leg lower unless, let me see here. This is the daily cycle. Well, we are correct in that leg. We have to go to the weekly cycle. So we probably, what we would need to see is the weekly cycle, take that out. And once we do that, more than likely you're in the next leg lower. No bounce here. Box fails. Right. So, and then yeah, so you have 3 down, 3 down. So is it going to find buyers here soon? You have a lot of support right here. Right? Resistance, it may now be tested as support. Right there. Just saying. And then look up Bitcoin's counts, trying to figure out what does it want to do here. Right? What is Bitcoin going to do? So as it's in this, looks like some kind of flat here. So yeah, I don't know. Crypto's tricky to trade crypto right now. If you really want to buy crypto, I think you can try to wait, right? Wait for either a clear sign that there's a major low already, or just wait for the boxes. That's probably the bottom line. These other boxes here are for more like aggressive traders that are willing to take more risk. Okay, but with that you get more reward. Okay, now monolithic power. I don't have that labeled. Let me see where we are with it. Let's go on parabolic. Right, the bulk of your wave 3 is right here, and then it looks like you correct it, and then there's your 4. It's in some kind of 5th wave extension at the moment, but we'll look in a minute to see if we can validate if it's a 5th wave or not. So because it could still be extending in 2. So if this peak takes that out, I would label this as a 1-2. Okay, like a 1-2, 1-2. Right here, you're obviously in 3 of 5. Okay, so we're going to label it this way for now, but just know that it may extend. It may not be a 5. So if you're trying to I want to try to time the market, well, I wouldn't do that in this stock. Okay, you're going to have to wait for a clearer reversal signal. And if you look at this way, it looks like it's about to break out. Now, since it is a 5th wave, the waves can usually overlap, so we have to be careful just making that assumption. So this is some kind of flat here, A, B, and then C down. Maybe even put that one there. And then just kind of looking at the wave structure, it looks 3 wave-ish, 3 wave. So we're going to label this as end in diagonal. Technically, it could end here if it's an end in diagonal. I guess you can try to, I don't know if this picture's coming out, but maybe we can draw some lines maybe. Let's take a look. An overshoot of some kind here. Remember how parabolic it is? You can call that like it's super parabolic. It can't sustain that kind of move, and you have an overthrow of maybe a bearish rise in wedge in a wave 5 here, and it looks like it even got rejected. Maybe it's rejected depending on how good I draw that. So I think it's very risky here in terms of a potential major top and all that divergence. So do with information as you see fit. We have seen structures like this before, and then what happens is it pushes and then erases divergence and it fools everyone. So you'll have to decide, do you want to wait and get a better reversal signal, which would be a much bigger pullback with, high volume intensity, then get out? You won't get the exact top, but at least you'll know, okay, it's probably the major top, or do you let it ride? So it's like at some point you'll crap out on the casino, right? You're going to crap out, but I usually let the market decide for me. I don't try to guess. So I would rather wait and then get the reversal signal, and then as it rallies on the counter trend rally again, I get out of my position, or I raise my stop up to this level. Oh, you didn't get the high? Well, we don't care. At least we got all the move. We got the meat of the move. Because it could keep extending, and then you'll miss it if you try to time the market. Because I bet people tried to time it all along the way, and they keep missing it. Okay, bear was another one that was a great live stream winner. I know we predicted this turn. We actually saw this play out. There's multiple live streams of this, and I was pounding my table to buy this thing. You know, and it looks like you must have listened, which was good. Maybe you're the one that asked me about it earlier. But as you can see, these healthcare stocks have had a good run, and now they're going to have to correct. Typically, again, they should be correcting. Let's look at some chart resistance here. It's likely what it's coming up against. Right up in this area. And then even more right here. So it's going to struggle getting through this on the first pass, right? You're going to make a left shoulder, some kind of head, head, and then you're going to have to make a right shoulder. So again, if you played a long game, you should be okay. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it does penetrate and come up to 67 at some point, but this is for long-term investors. Okay, that's what this is for. Again, now once in a while you get a rare situation and the stock pumps vertical off of this type of wave 3, but those are exceptions, and if they happen great, right? So clearly in a new bull market advance. Okay, so yeah, maybe something like this, and then I would look for the left shoulder. mRNA, we had this box here, got a big rally, it failed, and then we had this very tricky area that was like high risk, high reward box. It's still trying to come out. I still have it as a connector wave. Could it be the low and Y here? I mean, it did double correct, I think, and it pretty much took out all the divergence I needed to see. Take a look. You see the breakout here on the monthly cycle? So what does that mean? It means that is a finished correction. Okay, so wherever that low is, so that's the finished correction. So let me label it properly there. So it was right. So it's a finished correction, whether we want it to be or not. There. So now it's forming a bounce that should be correcting the whole thing. All, not just this leg, like the whole thing. The whole thing. So we would expect more upside from that low. So in hindsight, this box was a major box. It was just super risky because look at the Y wave. It didn't really extend. So they must have dropped some news or something around there to get people back into it so quickly, right? The other possible path. Now there's always another path. This doesn't happen here, and the Y is done here. But you're still going to correct the whole leg. All right. But since you broke the low here, it will bounce for quite a while. I mean, more than this bounce, like maybe even years. And then at some point it comes back down. So it's one or the other, but I think the way I would just trade it is not get wrapped up in the structure, the count. Again, that's what a lot of Elliott Wave forecasters do. They'll spend hours like that, and then they miss the trees looking at the forest. They don't look at the forest, they look at the trees. So I would just call that the low and just trace out the waves from there. Okay, that's what I would do. And as long as you're above 2183, I would look to try to buy it. Now it looks like you have 3 waves up. So maybe you're starting off as a leading diagonal off of this low. Something like that. So either the 2's done, but it could also double correct, right, and come back, which I would actually give my members the box to buy that, because we can define that risk, right? If it comes back and does that, right, then you can buy that box against that low, and the reward, it could be significant. So we would buy that pullback if it were to happen. We wouldn't buy it here though, because that would be too much to risk. All right. Now, if this low breaks, then I think the best thing to do is revert to this count and call it 3, and then it probably will whipsaw back around in a big 3, 3, 3. So I just think you might as well just expect it to do what it's doing now, and I would just call this from this low a new bull market. It's a new bull market as of now. The only problem I have with this though is it's only in 3 waves up here, but that's okay because it could be a lead in diagonal. Merck went vertical here, and we were watching this. Of course, our members, you already corrected this leg. Let's look at the higher time frame. Actually, it looks like a 1-2-1-2 setup. I have to update my count. Right, it looks like a 1-2-1-2 setup. So I would be looking for something like that. Then obviously it's going to have to correct that leg, and it should hopefully keep extending. You see some divergence. Now this here on 1, that tells me maybe we haven't seen the 3 yet. Okay, that it could actually keep running hot. There on the higher time frame, you're in 3. So the higher time frame is showing us we're in wave 3, which we know already. But the shorter time frame looks bearish, but it's got the peak on 1. So I wouldn't be surprised. I have it labeled, this is a conservative label, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is another 1 too. And it does this. And then you get another small pullback, and then you get a massive move higher. Okay. I would only like to buy this in 3 waves. I would not want to, I do not recommend time in the market on this instrument. I do not recommend trading in and out. I just recommend putting capital to work on 3-wave dips and being, I wouldn't be afraid to be aggressive on it. That's what I told people months ago about this stock. Okay. So, I mean, I said that back here. It's 122, and it went straight up. And I'm telling you, it could go even higher. All right. Biotech, we have prediction going higher. And look, it's just like we expected. I think almost every stock I've looked at, everything has worked out. Like it's a pretty good record to, for our past performance. Typically, we're not right that much normally we're accurate a lot, but this is almost like 100%. Like every chart I pulled up, it's been pretty accurate since my last update of it. So there you go. So we're still looking for more upside into the box. That one's pretty straightforward. Okay. IMTX looks like you got, I don't know, some kind of 3 waves here, 3 waves there, and then 3 waves down. So again, it's a corrective stock moving in a corrective manner. But you made an impulse. So the good thing is it looks like you're in a Y wave of some kind. So I would expect more upside. It looks like it's already correct in that wave. And either the B's done or it's got a little bit more of a dip to go. So it's hard to say. So as of now, the B's done. If you come back and break that low, I'll give you the next level to buy it at. And it's actually a lot low. Look, it's at 655. So that'll be the next level if this fails. So it's already turned higher though. So you can keep an eye on it. If it fails, it goes lower. If not, it's ready for probably a big rip. All right, IOVA. It's another one we kind of been watching. It looks like it's being kind of accumulated here. And again, it's kind of like, where do we put the low? Right around there. So there's your low, but only in 3, down in 3. So we have to just assume, again, it's in the middle area. right? And then this looks like 5 up though. It is with divergence. So yeah, I'm just kind of looking around. I want to look at this. Yeah, I wouldn't label it as 5 waves though. Still, I would still only label it as 3 because it's got to move in threes. So that's what you want to see play out in 3-wave subdivisions all the way up. Problem is, as you know, it could be corrective and it can be wiped out. So as long as you're above 222, it should be okay. So RHBY, Roche, like most of these healthcare stocks, gone vertical. And the question on that is, all right, well, we love to see a big correction and a higher high, but the problem is it can always do a flat. But that problem can be a massive opportunity for investors. You know, other, you know, so chasers could get blown up, but investors that are patient could catch these flats and know what they are as they emerge. Actually, what's funny is this looks like it already had a flat here. So it's rare for a flat to have another flat, okay? It's rare to have that happen. Or I mean, it's unusual. So let me just look. I don't know, maybe it's 5 waves. Yeah, it's 5 waves. So not a flat. We'll go back to what we had it. Let me just look at this again. Yeah, I think that's what we call it. And then I think I mean we bottomed in a way that bothers me. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a flat. Okay, I'm just saying because we should have hit 2108. We way off the target. It got ahead of. I think it's ahead of itself. I think it's in a flat. I think it's in a flat, but let me look at the momentum again. Yeah, that's too strong a momentum. I don't like how we bottomed here, but 1, 2, 3. I mean, the waves are there. So I would be watching this like a hawk for. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a flat off of this low. So let me fix it up. Fix up the chart here. And then that would be 1, 2. So it still need to go a little higher. Yeah, that's probably too much. Well, actually, it's in the danger area. So this is the danger area for a flat. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with this view for now on it. I think this one's a little more tricky. I like to see a pullback and another high. If you can get that, and we can't get through these areas, high risk for a flat. If you can get through this area without this pullback, then it's probably in the wave. It started its new multi-decade bull market. But because it's a flat, it's a buy. What this is kind of like a shakeout of some kind before the bigger run. So this higher high, so it means it's be okay in the future, and then it would probably come back down to this wave 4, and then it would be a massive opportunity here. All right, gold is a question on gold. Everybody wants gold and silver. All right, gold hit 6,600 in the next few weeks. Wow, that would be pretty incredible. That would be a So first, that would be a 3 of 3 in gold, not a 5. If I moved that quickly, how would your count be adjusted? So we would put gold in a wave 3, but it's already, I think, in a bullish count, more bullish than people have on the grand super cycle. So on the grand super cycle, gold obviously is parabolic. I mean, no surprise. Okay, gold, we're looking for a pullback, some kind of rejection. Now that it broke this high, it can happen really at any moment. This box is where it's super dangerous for the reversal. So I'm expecting a rug pull. Unfortunately, I'm not expecting it straight up. But if it were to do that, if it were to not drop like this, it has options, okay? If it doesn't drop like this, then I have to put the 3 here, and then I have to put a 4 here, and then I would make the next leg 5. But 5 would only get you to about 6,000. It wouldn't get you up to that level. If you got to that level, then it can't be a 5. It's going to have to accelerate and go more as vertical as you saw here. So the only way for that to happen is this would have to be another 1, 2. So you'd have to have a 1, 2, and then a 1, 2. Okay? And so that's how my count would change. It would be like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 3s of 3s, and gold would go, if gold goes to that level that quickly, it'd probably go to 10,000 over several years or higher. Now, if it, the reason I don't have this labeled up top yet is it has options. Because if it keeps going and doesn't stop, it breaks, I'm going to label it a 3, 4, and 5. If it doesn't and it double corrects like I show here, I'll label it as a 1, 2. A 1, 2, 1, 2. Then when this is finished, your big gold run can happen. Why don't I just call that now? Because there's another metal out there that does not show this bullish setup that kind of trades together with gold. And that's the problem. There's a bearish pattern in silver that is not resolved itself. So they kind of, while they trade in different degrees, it's highly unusual to see one metal go into the moon, gold, and the other metal crashing. I don't remember if I've ever seen that. They may move in different proportions, the gold to silver ratio, but I've never seen them move opposite. So if silver is telling me it has an incomplete correction that looks pretty clear on the screen to me when I look at silver, but gold, here with this lower low, then gold is likely to go down with it. Maybe it won't go down as much. Maybe it won't go down to the bottom. Maybe it'll go down here, but it'll go down. You see what I'm saying? That's why I have it forecasted the way I do. That's the only reason. So, but again, longer term, look at all this upside. Gold will be over $10,000, guys, in the coming years. I feel confident about that. But there's going to be a correction. There's always corrections along the way. And remember, to get to these kind of prices, that means if the prices here are your 4s and 5s, well, that means down here are still your 1s and 2s. 1s and 2s are violent corrections. 2s are violent corrections, okay? So the only way to get to these levels is you need more wave 2s. If you don't get the wave 2, the violent corrections, then you're not going to get to these levels. So if we just kind of peter out here in 4s and 5s, then you're going to go into a multi-decade bear market, and we're going to be back to where we were, for the last 20 years in these metals. So we want to wash out. We want this. We want this to happen. If you're a gold bull, you want to shake out. You want to get out the weak, blow out the weekends, make another wave 2, and then go in and buy it again. That's what you're hoping for. A real gold bull, because that sets you up not for 6,000, but sets you up for over 10,000. It sets you up for those prices. If you start topping out here in 4s and 5s and you burn through your count in this area, then the move's over on the grand super cycle. And then you're going to be waiting another 30 years like your grandpa did for gold to move and silver again. And you'll be dead probably. And but that's what it took silver 50 years to get going. So we want to see another cleansing in the metals. to get to these higher, the targets we really hope for. Think of how Bitcoin traded early in its life, the cleansing cycles it had to go through to get to where it is now. That's what gold and silver got to do here. If it can't do that, the cycle will go through its 4s and 5s. They'll burn through its 4s and 5s, and now it'll be that. The grand super cycle count will come to an end, and then we'll have to wait 30 years another as it falls, and everybody's hoping it goes up. I mean, all my dad talked about was silver his whole life because he remembered it in the 80s, but it never came back. I mean, that's what will happen, and people will have hope, so much hope. So we want a shakeout. We need a shakeout so we don't have to hope for 30 more years that these prices will go back up, because they may not. So that's what's going on in gold, guys, and silver. BMNR, we see that with one more leg down, but it could be a 1-2, 1-2. In 5 can extend, it could do a lot of things. Now your question is 457. Yeah, that's a big gap there. I don't know if ETH can get that low. Okay, when we look at the count of ETH, and look, it's already turning down. It may already be done this 4 in a triangle. So we would call that now with that elbow down. See, that's a sharp elbow. So this was some kind of triangle. So we're looking at, right? We're looking at something like that. So if we look at this, look at the wave 1. That's pretty big. This wave 3 is short. So wave 5 can't be long. So it's have to probably be pretty short. And that's what my target was always, like 1,000. That's kind of the right number. And then if we look at Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin looks like Bitcoin's trying to dump tonight, and that'll get us down. So if Bitcoin, let's just say Bitcoin's breaking down now, we would either put the X in, or we're going to whipsaw around. Remember I mentioned that, where we whipsaw back around, where we do something like this. So it's a very tricky structure to try to trade. It could do something like that. So we'll just let it play out tonight, see where it goes. But the target is 52,000, depending on where we are with this mess. If we go straight down, that's the target. Now, if we chop around, it's going to be lower. So Bitcoin's target's pretty, so that's why I don't think it's going to go down. I don't think it can go down to 500 at this point. I don't see it. Maybe it could change as the data changes, but I don't see it. Okay. I just don't see it. All right, next stock here. Let's take a look. JTAI. So we always call these go to zeros. Sometimes there's a key fib we can get lucky and get a level on, and looks like you're almost at one. So there's a key fib out 7 cents. Highly likely it's going to react there. Okay, it's not guaranteed, but highly likely. Looking at from a wave standpoint, it looks like it's moving in a big 3-wave cycle. Okay. Yeah, something like that. ABC, and then connector, and then next connector, and then we need 5 waves down from that. Let's see the vert, there it is. So it's done. So this is probably going to finish up right around here. Okay, I can't be, I don't know if I'm that good. I got the timing right, but I would say everything's lining up for 7 cents. I don't have it all labeled, but you got the idea. It's coming right in there, and it's labeled. It does look like it's coming to an end right around there. As long as let's go back to the shorter time frame. As long as see if I can get this. As long as we fall, you maintain bullish divergence between this. So as this falls, you don't want to take out that level. You want it to just kind of fall, show bullish divergence, and then you'll have to just give it a shot and see if you get lucky at, get lucky at the casino, your lottery ticket, and your numbers are picked. Because if your numbers are picked, this is definitely one of the ones that lines up to be a big runner, because the next area, because you'd be correcting the whole leg, I mean, you're likely to come back up. I don't even want to say it because you get people buying it for no reason. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised you see it come back up to $4. Okay. All right. So yeah, so it's a lottery. There's a lottery ticket play. So hey, if you're going to buy it at 7 cents, just assume it goes to 0. And if it doesn't and you wake up and it's like $4, hey, consider it. Hey, you want, good job. You got it, because that's the count. That's the only count I can think of on that I see. And now, if it erases that divergence, then the trade's dead. Okay, MSTR had a couple options, but ultimately still bearish on it. Okay, again, I could draw like this slanted neckline that we breached. What we haven't done is back tested that. So we were in this area. Now, could that be 3 and 4? Now, look, wave 1 was all this, right? Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was all the 2 we got. You see that? That was it. What a pathetic little bounce. That's all you got to correct this whole leg, right? So, and it was short. So this is a couple things. It could be a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then it's about to have its worst moment that it's ever had as a company, because it's going to go down to $60 fast. Or it's going to be this. And I was telling this to lead members. A, B, C. And a massive short squeeze. And then when we properly correct in this wave, how do we know? We need to break 140.26. Doesn't look like that's going to happen tonight, though. So now, in this wave, it can do a lot of things. It can be very erratic. It just needs to hold above 103. So maybe it's going to do this. Right? I don't know. The other path, right? The other path I talk about is I can't put 3 there. So there's only one other count. It's another 1, 2. And that leaves you with 3 of 3. Right now, again, we may still wander around here for a little bit. So there's that count, and then the other count I just showed you. There's no other count. There's no other count. This isn't intellectually honest if I did this, because it makes no sense having 3 that short. It just doesn't. So there's only one count. There's only 2 counts. The bullish squeeze or collapse. Okay, guys, that's it in this. And personally, I've seen the whipsaw way too much. The market makers love it, and everyone's all beard up. Like I said, and that's why I was like, maybe it does that. So I think it's tough, but I would rather, if it did that short. What a short opportunity! Oh my gosh, what a gift to short that. Right, or maybe even just back tests a little bit. Maybe it just kind of comes back as a run-in flat, right? Maybe it doesn't come all the way up, but somewhere in that area. That's what I was thinking. But if not, we break this low. It could be a straight shot down, but it definitely opens up the door, and it closes the door on any bullish path that I think could exist in this stock. If we come back down and break that level, because yes, we could still be in that too. But my guess is, if that happens, it's just waterfall. Okay. UNG, again, we don't trade natural gas typically, but with natural gas, We need to, let me go look at what I got for natural gas, my chart on it. How's that look these days? Yeah, natural gas was one that we almost nailed. We were just a little short. We had this buy here at 2.9, and I remember charting this for elite members, and I said the structure needed another swing in Y. And then the storm came, that winter storm, and people said to me like, "Oh man, you must have been a weatherman or something. How did you know about the storm back here?" Because I was calling for this pump back in this area, and I was like, "No, it's just Elliott Wave predicted that we would see that." And we did. And then of course then I said this, I said, and again I told everyone this was not going to last. I said this is going to get rug pulled, and it got rug pulled. Now where do we go from here? The problem I have with natural gas is we got this lower low, this pesky lower low, and because of that, this pump could produce lows that take it down. So I see 5 waves down. So what I suspect is going to happen, A, B, C. That's what I think. And then the low in natural gas that everyone's dreaming, that will be finally put in, and then go lock in your rates and everything else. Okay, I think that's what's going to happen. So UNG is likely to head lower, and that's how we'll forecast it. Okay, based on that price action. Because other than that, it's really tough. So and I think that's what we have here anyway. So we had this ABC. So yeah, we're forecast. Look, this is the downside. We're forecasting lower. So as long as you're below 1712, expect more downside in natural gas prices. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's going to be, you know, a slowdown in the economy. Maybe, you know, I don't know, winter's almost over. You know, not a bad storm season, hurricane season will affect things. Like I don't know the reason why. Maybe there's too much supply built up. I mean, who knows why? But this is the forecast. And even here, you have a low. Look, you have now we have a lower low here. You have a lower low here. So in fact, if it comes back up here, it's short. This is more of a short. I would be short in this instrument. I'd be looking for short trades. So anyway, here, let me see here. I'm just reading some of the comments. Yeah, I mean, maybe Iran is coming. We have to look at what oil. Let's take a minute and just look at the markets, because we did see a big move down. Again, I'm not in front of the screen. Look at silver, 3%. What's interest rates doing higher? Yeah, I mean, it's just noise in the system, guys. I think this is just noise in the system. Let's take a look at Bitcoin again. Yeah, so I think with Bitcoin, with that sharp, like when you see a sharp move lower like that, it's probably the best thing to do is either think of the X is in, and this is either going to make that bear market push lower to finish the shakeout, or it's like I said, it's going to do this. Again, I probably put that there. And then this, but if this goes on too long, the target would have to drop. So I don't know. That's what I say. It's the middle area, right? So this, so again, even though we did get to trade, it was a zero risk trade. So anyone who's trading Bitcoin, obviously they're out of it with no loss because we bought it at the exact level. So we have no harm, no foul on it. It doesn't matter. But I do think the good thing that kind of sharp move down with that kind of momentum indicates to me, what that indicates to me is X is done. Okay, X is done. That's what it looks like. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is going right to the box tonight. So you can be careful. You can be careful, but that's a sharp move down. That's like get out while the getting's good. Okay. So yeah, maybe people know something. I don't know, or something's going on. Again, I'm not in front of the news. And then Zcash. Again, if it comes right down, there's our box. So the buy's at 120. And then this would be in 3, and 3, and then you would have another 3 down. You know, and you can do it. So we'll see where it goes tonight. right? I guess a lot of people are afraid. Now we did expect the market to be down 250, 300 points on the Dow. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll wait and see what happens when we open tomorrow and look. I think it's kind of interesting that gold and silver are higher. That tells me, yeah, maybe people are worried about war or something, geopolitical risk or something like that. Okay. So let's go back to what we were doing. XLM. Let's take a look here. XLM. Do I have that on my... Yeah. Okay. So XLM, we forecasted the rejection here. It got it. And like everything else tonight, it's melting back down. So it looks like, I mean, I would expect, it looks like it's starting the next leg lower, right? That's what it looks like to me. Right? That's what it looks like. I mean, it's such a sharp move down. So I would expect more downside. And the timing of this is likely somewhere in this zone. 9 cents, 10 cents, somewhere like that. It's going to be hard to time it, but that's where I think it's heading. I think that one's pretty straightforward. Yeah, maybe they're going to bomb. Yeah, it is. That is me. Yeah, no, that's me, man. Yeah, that's my picture. That's my picture, guys. I know. I know people thought I copied that off of the internet or something. I'm like, dude, I'm using my real picture. So, anyway. All right, ElliottWaveSage, please look at FJet. Made the lower low here, and then 3 down. Look at that big bounce, taking out those levels. So, yeah, I think what we will do here is just call it in its next leg higher. What is this all about? Space fighter space? What the hell is that? What is okay? So I love stocks like this, because this is how we found qubits and these other stocks. So yeah, I'm. This is really interesting because it's got a thematic like group that's bullish. You know, space, and it's small, and it sounds cool, right? Well, that wouldn't work. Let's go back and label that. That's the one. It's probably some kind of flat. So since it's a moving in 3 waves, we'll just label it in 3 waves for now. It looks like it's in a flat. Typically, you know, you can come back down to $8. I mean, the space sector is correcting, but we know it's bullish on the higher time frames. So it's a sector we like to buy at some point. But I wouldn't be surprised if this goes lower. But I bet it finds a bid. But I would say trade it bullish as long as you're above this low. I would be looking for maybe $8, somewhere in that area, but it's going to be hard to time it because it's in a flat. You know, flats just kind of crash down. So let me see what these guys do. It looks like space research, aeronautics for Lockheed's F1s. I don't know. Sounds pretty cool. So yeah, so that's kind of the chart. Very speculative, but as you know, these speculative stocks can catch the fever of the marketplace. So we'll just keep an eye on this one. We'll keep an eye on this one for sure. All right. Let's look at RDW. Redwire. So short of the box here. Yeah, I bet we have more downside coming, but let me, we'll label it. It's kind of 5 waves down. 5 waves down there. So we have some kind of A, B, C, and then we have, yeah, connector. W, maybe some kind of X. I wouldn't be surprised if it does that because we didn't really bottom. I don't know. Let me see here. The weekly looks okay. So I am seeing the 3-wave nature of this move, and yeah, maybe we're just seeing the 5 and the C here. So maybe we could trade off of that low. Let's look at this wave off the bottom. Yeah, it looks impulsive. So I think we will call that the low. And then this, something like that, and that's in 3 waves. So yeah, I think I'll label it like this. Something like that. I think that's how I would label it. The B wave has got to stay, it's got to stay above 511. Okay, it's got to stay above 511. If it can't do that, it's going to take another leg lower. Okay, it's going to take another leg lower. All right, it'll take another leg lower. Okay, so just know it's got to stay above this level here. Let me see, 494. All right. So that one's pretty straightforward. So I think I got, whoop, luck, a couple just came in at the last second. GEO. All right, so finally made it to our box, but let's check it out. Only in 3 waves up. I wonder if it's in a big run in flat. It's probably in a big run in flat. Although we haven't taken that level out, so that would imply it goes lower. Yeah, I think it's going to go lower. The box is not valid. I think it's going to be in a flat and it's going to keep extending lower. So it's going to have more downside. So it looks like I got caught up in a flat here. And I think you're starting to see momentum accelerate down. So if interest rates are going to go higher, these REITs are going to get hit again. They're going to go down. And that's the forecast on rates. So see, we had this. That's why I was like, oh, is it done? I don't think it's done. I think it's actually it's about to extend down. I think it's going to extend the cycle. Okay. So I think you just got to be careful. I think this could be another yeah, I'll label it like this. Maybe not as bearish. Maybe something like that. But I think it goes lower. Okay, something like that. Wave. Five up. I mean, it looks like 5 up, but see, it could be a big connector. And when we came down, we erased divergence, fine. But we didn't really come up in 5, and we looks like we're about to break that low. In fact, we broke that low here. So I have a feeling it's probably going to be a big connector wave that we're looking at here. Something like that. And then another leg lower. So I would be looking for more downside. And then it could end. Then it maybe has a bigger bounce. Right? So you're in this C leg that's going to have to play out. And looking at it, it could still be in B maybe, but looking at this, it looks like, yeah, I bet we're still in B. Like that. So real tricky structure. So maybe something like that. All right, good luck trading that. But that's what I think it's going to happen. And that's because of the way this peaked here. Because it's going to have to resolve that higher high here. And maybe get a 1-2. Something like that. Okay. So TLT, TMV, I would say that I would be careful buying any of those products at this point. My forecast is interest rates would go higher. So actually those instruments would go down. So I would be waiting. As you can see, we're going higher. So the TLT tracks a 20-year bond. And you can see my forecast on rates. We're coming out of, we had a buy here, or a buy on long rates, which is short, bonds, which is TBT, TBT. And it was just a little out of our box, but I still think this is a major low. So I don't recommend buying the TLT as long as the 20 years above 4.6. Now, if it can break 4.6, then that changes things for me. Because I think what you're going to see is some move higher to maybe 5.5 or, and then we can look at buying the TLT again. So a lot of people that FOMO'd into TLT may be about to get rug pulled. I'm just saying, especially if there's some geopolitical stuff going on that puts our country, in the crosshairs, and investors get skittish. And of course, you have this constitutional issue with the files, Epstein files, and are they going to release and take down the government? And so you got all this stuff going on in the government, like shut down things, and so government debt. So you got all this stuff. So I think you want to just expect this right now, and that's why I wouldn't recommend buying TLT or anything yet. So that's kind of the reason. But again, I can't tell you what to do. I'm just giving you my forecast. Like I always tell everybody, do what's best for you. Because I can be wrong sometimes. It can happen. It can happen. No one's perfect. But I think about when I look at what's going on tonight, the one thing that is interesting to me is the metals. Everyone's in the metals. Is that the new safe haven trade, guys? Metals? I wonder. Dollar's weak. That's probably helping the metals. And then no one wants bonds. No one wants stocks. No one wants crypto. Very interesting price action tonight. Very interesting. Yeah, how's the HSI looking? Is it open? Oh, that's good. I think I'm trying to see where we had this thing going. I thought we wanted it to fill the gap. Yeah, so we expected it to go higher. but we don't want it to go too much higher. So we did expect this, and we got it, but we also are expecting that. So I don't know when does that end. I don't know. I guess it can keep going. I guess it has to stay below 27,398. I would look for resistance here, but yeah, I mean, so that's behaving as expected, but I don't think we want it to go too far. But that would be if it goes any further, then that means the U.S. dollar must be really getting hit hard, big time. All right, let's go look at this MRAM. All right, looks like 3, 3, 3. So that's done here, and it's coming out like we expected, right? So everything's happening according to plan. Where are we on the count? Looks like 5 waves up is done. So we're probably pulling back, right? So we still expect more upside. Okay. So I would still expect more upside. And it looks like to me it could be in a buy area as long as we hold 981. So as if we can hold 981, it's possibly finished. And that would start the next cycle higher. If we break it, it will double correct, and that would be a pretty big drop. 420. So that would take you back down almost double bottom. So it really has to hold this 990 level. Okay, if it can, then it's ready to go. What did these guys do? Semiconductors? Are they like memory or something? Oh, MRAM memory. Yeah. Those memory stocks tend to be doing pretty well. I wouldn't, I wouldn't be hesitant to pick this up. You have the higher high. You have a nice pullback. You can define your risk against 975. So, and then it's probably going to come out of this whole thing soon. Right, we didn't label this part, but it's another 1, 2. So you have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, let's look at the other. Yeah, and see how you have this divergence. That's not typically a corrective move won't end like that. So it's likely to go higher. Okay, guys. So I appreciate calling in tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and get off. So thanks again, everyone. And again, if you wanted to, get your question, answered, there's always another way. I don't know if I mentioned, but you can also submit, your symbol. I've already had quite a few people do this. I think they're happy with what they got. One of them replied was happy. Others, I didn't hear back, so I assume they're okay with it. But basically, you just hit this, and you can just ask me whatever symbol, and I get back to you in 24 or 48 hours with a video and a slide deck about your stock that you asked me. Okay, guys, that's it. Good night.